We got Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. And bro, these dudes have been quietly cooking on a night to night basis. So, the Denver Nuggets lost their very first game of the season against the Golden State Warriors. And since then, are undefeated and are a plus 69 in terms of their point differential. First off, nice. Second off, they're not just winning, they are literally blowing folks out the water. So they come off of an OT loss to a team in Golden State that looks like they're going to be in the championship mix, and a lot of power rankings through the first 5 games have them as a top 8 team in the NBA right now. And the Denver Nuggets win into overtime against that team and then proceed to spend the next 3 games completely whooping on folks. And in the process of that, oh, Nikola Jokic just sleepwalking his way into a triple double where he's had a triple double in all 4 games, tied for the most consecutive triple doubles to start a season, along with Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is the first. This stat that I found is insane. It says the Nuggets are the first team in NBA history to score 120 points and shoot 50% or better from the field in each of their first 4 games of a season. This team is literally punching folks in the mouth. Literally literally making teams look silly. Again, after that game against Golden State, it has been smooth sailing for the Denver Nuggets for what they've been able to do. And mind you, this is a Denver Nuggets team that is still trying to find their footing in a real way because they really haven't seen the best of Cam Johnson yet. Like, we have not seen the Cam Johnson game coming out party. He had a little bit of a decent performance against the Phoenix Suns, but other than that, he has not had that productive 3-point shooting night where he looks like that knockdown marksman that they brought him in to be. So this team is still trying to figure themselves out with him in the mix now. Thankfully, Tim Hardaway Jr. is shooting 40+% from beyond the arc right now, building off of what he was able to do last season, and that's been able to make up some of the slack. Also, Jonas Valanciunas is a godsend for this Denver Nuggets team. I can't talk about the Denver Nuggets without talking about how special Jonas Valanciunas has been, especially when you think about how insane it is that he was basically a one for not even basically he was a 1-for-1 trade swap from New Orleans for Dario Saric, who was injured and unproductive last season for the Denver Nuggets. Here he is. Jonas Valanciunas comes on the floor off the bench, 14 minutes off the bench, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 5 of 7 from the field, a plus 14, best plus minus of anybody off the bench outside of Peyton Watson, who was absolutely stellar despite the fact that the numbers don't jump out at you. What he's able to do defensively is so special, and that's what helps them too, as being this rangy athletic wing that can help put pressure on the rim, scares defenses with his ability to slash and gain so much attention as a dude who brings, real force around the rim. But Jonas Valanciunas and Tim Hardaway Jr. off the bench have been able to provide such a spark for this team, and that's something they were missing so much last year. The biggest thing that this Denver Nuggets team has missed for years even has been productivity at the backup center position. This team completely falls off a cliff when Nikola Jokic gets off the floor, and it has a lot to do with the lack of real productivity at that center position. I mean, we've seen a lot of different iterations of what they've tried. Obviously, they were missing Day'Ron Holmes last year, their rookie who they drafted out of, I believe it was Gonzaga, and he didn't play at all last year. Zeke Naji is on this roster simply to eventually get traded for something to help this team become a little bit more flexible financially. He has a very lucrative deal that's just kind of there to be this big contract that can help aggregate with something else to hopefully, get a valuable asset down the line, or at least get a decent asset down the line. But and they had DeAndre Jordan at one point, who was absolutely terrible for them as far as I'm concerned. So the Denver Nuggets have always had this issue at backup center, and Jonas Valanciunas, he's not putting up these insane counting stats that are gonna make you think like, oh, he's a sixth man of the year or something crazy like that. He's averaging 8.5 with 5 rebounds, shooting 56% from the field, and he's shooting 58% true shooting. He's doing his job. It's just to simply come on the floor and be a extension of what Jokic is as a passer, be an extension of what Jokic is as a big burly body around the paint that you have to respect as a play finisher, and somebody that just you can play competent offense through. You're not running plays for Jonas Valanciunas, but you can get him a couple of post touches to help slow the offense down, help get things settled, and allow yourself to still be efficient on the offensive end and not be giving up these leads that constantly happened last year for the Denver Nuggets. It felt like game after game after game, the Nuggets would almost have to completely burrow folks in the first half to build some kind of real cushion for themselves, because when Jokic would sit at the top of the third or the midway portion of the third quarter, it seemed like their entire lead would get burnt away because they just didn't know how to operate. There's always those stats that would drop about Jamal Murray's inefficiencies without Jokic on the floor, and in a sense, Jamal Murray's productivity being a microcosm, or being a product, I guess is a better word, of Jokic just being so dang good. And I think there is some validity to that. But I think the biggest thing too is when Jokic isn't on the floor, there hasn't been a competent center to still play that 1-5 pick and roll action with, which is one of the most dangerous 1-2 punches in the league. With Jamal Murray and Jokic, they've been special at being that 1 and 2 punch offensively for years now. And when you take Jokic off the floor, there's nobody. Of course, there's nobody in the league that's competent in comparison to Jokic as an offensive talent. But the drop off from Jokic to all the other centers that this Denver Nuggets team has trotted out in years past is so significantly off a cliff that anybody would look bad in a 1-5 pick and roll action with the guys that Jamal Murray has been having to deal with over the last couple of years. Now, again, there's a drop off from Jokic to Jonas, but the gap is at least not as wide as the gap is between Jokic and Dario Saric, or Jokic and DeAndre Jordan, right? So that's been huge for them. That's been a huge part of what they've been able to do. This team looks like they have so much more depth with bringing Bruce Brown back. Obviously, having Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, Julian Strawther, and Jalen Pickett look solid as well. And to continue to develop at those wing spots. Peyton Watson has been someone they can rely on to be that first wing off the bench as a big-time defender. And I think he's been a contributor as more of a defensive specialist for this team, given the fact that they take a little bit of a hit having Cam Johnson start over him, somebody who has more of an upside offensively than what he does on the defensive end. So this team looks deeper than this. The best way to put it, right, is with Jokic at the helm, already with 4 straight triple-doubles to start the year off. This team is 3-1, and they look deeper than they've ever been. They're as talented in that starting 5 as they've been in years past. They have the best backup center they've ever had in the Nikola Jokic era. And that formula together honestly spells a team that could have the best chance, on paper at least, to knock off the Oklahoma City Thunder as the reigning defending champions. I think that this Denver Nuggets team has the chance to get back to the NBA Finals again. This team, this version of the Denver Nuggets is more talented than that, and I believe they're deeper as well than that Denver Nuggets team that got to the championship and got the job done a few years ago. This team is better. They're more efficient. They are blowing folks out. They haven't even seen the best version of Cam Johnson yet. And when that part clicks, I mean, they're already, again, their point differential already has them at a plus 69. They're going to literally be demolishing teams where they're going to sit Jokic at the bottom of the third quarter because they're going to be killing folks by 20 and 30 points on a night-to-night basis once Cam Johnson starts to find his three-point stroke. I mean, we've already seen a 50 ball from Aaron Gordon this year. This team is lethal. If I had to rank the best potential teams to knock the Oklahoma City Thunder off as reigning champions, I mean, right now, given the growing pains and the injury issues in the backcourt for the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks look solid, but I don't know who in that front court is going to be able to contain Nikola Jokic, and then beyond that, I mean, the list gets really tricky after that. This Denver Nuggets team to me is by far, by far the best possible team to knock the Oklahoma City Thunder off right now. Now, again, 5 game sample size, but again, they haven't even got the best version of Cam Johnson yet. They're still working through the fact that they're building out this depth with all the guys they brought back this summer and some of the guys that they added this past offseason. This team feels like there's still another gear they can hit, and that feels terrifying to say out loud when you already are looking at them killing folks on a night-to-night basis, blowing everybody out by 20 plus. I mean, they just won this game against the New Orleans Pelicans by almost 40. Yes, almost 40 points. This is ridiculous. Shout out to Nikola Jokic. Shout out to this Denver Nuggets team. People aren't talking about them in the national media right now because the Lakers are hooping. VJ Edgecombe and those boys over in Philly are doing their thing. Giannis is the talk of the town with the trade conversations between him and the New York Knicks paired with the fact that Milwaukee Bucks are 3-1 right now. There's a lot of storylines that are taking over above the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets are quietly cooking teams. And before you know, you're going to look up. They're going to be a top 2, top 3 seed in the Western Conference. And we're gonna have to remind ourselves this is a team that won a championship just a couple years ago, and their roster's better than it was back then. So watch out. Watch out. This Denver Nuggets team is not going to go out quietly. The start to this season, I think, is only the beginning of what they got cooking up this year. Next up, we